Hello, everyone. My name is Atharva Banait, and I'm here for my final presentation for the CHIP 793 class. And I got this opportunity to work with CFC, and I was working as a database intern. So I'm just going to talk about my experience and just going to follow the rubric that Muriel sent. So for today overview, I'm going to quickly introduce myself, then talk about the organization that I worked with, then talk about the major deliverables, and just the roles and the tools that apply throughout the internship, and the key stakeholders and few limitations and barriers which I faced throughout the internships, and some acknowledgements towards the end. So quickly, I'm just going to introduce myself. So as I mentioned earlier, my name is Atharva Banait. I'm an international student from India. So I came to the States in 2018 to get my bachelor's in health sciences. I got my bachelor's in health sciences in sunny Stony Brook. It's a university in New York. I was just sure what I was going to do in the healthcare field, but I was just like not sure in long term what I was going to do. And that's when like the pandemic started, and I just was sure like I wanted to do something related to informatics, but it was a little too late to change my major towards the end. So in my senior year, I just took a concentration of health informatics in my track. And that's when I started working with COVID data, and I was like working on campus with like Stony Brook Medicine, with data registration and as a medical scribe. So later on, I decided to get a master's in biomedical and health informatics from UNC-Chapel so that I could gain like more knowledge and about this field. And a little fun fact about me is I got a minor in geology in those 4 years when I was at Stony Brook. And I'm going to talk about CFC in the next slide. So I've added a QR code, which you can scan with your phone. If it doesn't work for some reason, just let me know. I can just drop a link in the chat so you guys can access the website while I talk about it. So CFC is a regional medical education and research foundation for orthopedic trauma. The foundation is a nonprofit organization officially founded in 2005 with multidisciplinary members from leading hospitals, universities, and Southeastern region of the United States. The foundation strives to support multi-center research programs, facilitate education opportunities specific to orthopedic trauma, and connect orthopedic trauma community of practice. The future vision is that the institution represented by foundation members will become leaders in clinical relevant orthopedic trauma research. And next slide, I'm going to talk about the major deliverables. So I talked about these deliverables in my internship proposal, but I'll just like quickly go over them real quick. So the first major deliverable, which I was tasked with, was deliver a completed membership database. So this basically means I had to make a database from all the data which I was like given with. So I was given with a bunch of data and folders which I was able to access from Google Drive. This data consisted of information of members of the organization, the planning committee, the email subscribers, and the guest lists, and like the people who attended the CFC conferences. It was a bunch of data which I had to standardize and make a meaningful database out of it. So I basically cleaned the data, filtered it out, and make sure there were no duplicates. So it was like easier to refer back and forth when you're cross-checking information about like some member or like some person. And the second deliverable was I had to complete a research publication database. So basically this means there are like a lot of members in the organization who have publications related to orthopedic trauma. So I had to find all their articles from PubMed and put them in like a database, and like just make sure they have all the information in it, like they have all the authors there, after authors, like what is the design type, if their PDF is available to public, stuff like that. And thirdly was making a data visualization using a Tableau, which conveys meaningful insights. I'm going to do a Tableau demo towards the end, so I'll talk about that later on. And so my role, as I talked, was as a database designer, and this was a little timeline I came up with. So for the 3 deliverables, I came up with these 3 timeframes. So in the beginning, I worked with the membership database when my internship started, and then later on I transitioned working with the research publication database. And towards the end, I'm like working on Tableau visualizations. And today is my final presentation. After this, so I came across a lot of tools. So I was working with Excel, then I was using a lot of tools from Google Drive, Tableau. Then I got to know about Wix and how it works, and PubMed. But these are the three main tools which I use throughout my internship, which I would like to talk about briefly. And I'm just going to talk about like how they were like super useful for me. Microsoft Excel data entry, it's like super user friendly, helps me to organize all the data, and then it's super helpful for sorting and filtering it out. And when you sort and filter out, you can use like various formulas like sum, average, count, which is like easy to analyze data and then make meaningful insights out of it. And towards the end, it is super useful for data cleaning and deduplication, because that at times there are like a lot of data which is like duplicate, like people just like give out like their numbers twice or like their name twice. So it's just super easy to use Excel and like deduplicate all these things. And Google Drive, my bad. Okay, so and Google Drive, I was working mainly on Google Sheets because I think it's just like a super easy tool to collab with different people. A lot of people can see what you're doing, and it's easy to enter and edit, and data backups are like super easily done. So whenever you type something in, like everything is auto saved. You don't have to worry about saving every single word or like every single detail that you have mentioned. And I think like when you're working in Google Drive, you can just like use other tools like Google Sheets, Google Slides, then Google Docs as well. And then later on, I used Tableau, which was like super helpful in data connection, data visualization, and real-time analysis. So data connection, you could just import a file from Excel and put it in Tableau and just like make a different visualizations. You can play around with it and see like if you want a heat map, if you want a bar graph, stuff like that. And in here, these are like some visuals that I made. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and quickly go to Tableau and show like a quick visual that I made for like a guest list from 2022. So just bear with me for a minute. Just to make sure, can you guys see my Tableau demo real quick? Or no? Okay, thank you. Okay, so here you go. This is like the Tableau demo that I made. So this list basically talks about the guest list or like the people who attended the conferences. And these are like the different institutions that they come from. And these are like the different positions they are at these institutions. So I put in a little filter to make it a little easier. So this shows all the institutions here, but if you unselect all, and if you just want to see like a particular institution, for example, you want to see UNC-Chapel, and then if you want to see ECU Health. So basically it shows you those, and when you hit here, they can just show you, oh, this is the guest name, he comes from this institution, and he's an orthopedic surgeon there. And then later on, I made a visual using paragraph, which shows you like the top 7 job titles or positions of the people who came to the conference, and then the top 7 institutions. And then I just tried to compare these both with using dashboard. So like top 7 job titles and top 7 institutions. So it's just like easier to make sure like who is your target audience, and like you could like make your presentations according to this. So this is it with the Tableau demo. I'm gonna go back with my presentation real quick. Perfect. And so according to the rubric, I was supposed to talk about the key stakeholders. So before that, I'm just gonna like give a little definition of like what is a stakeholder. So a stakeholder is a party or individual that has interest in a company and can either be affected or affected by their business. So like, according to me, these were like the top 5 stakeholders: the members, the orthopedic surgeons, research staff, physician assistants, and nurse practitioners. And here, and in this slide, I'm going to talk about the limitations and the barriers which I faced. Data quality and lack of standardization. So one of the main challenges is the quality of data and the absence of standardized data formats, which can impact the accuracy and consistency of the data. As I mentioned earlier, like I was given a bunch of raw data, and sometimes the data didn't make sense. So I had to like go back and forth and just like look at different folders and see like, oh, what this data means to me. And then complexity of technology. And towards the end, one of the main barriers which I faced was unable to find articles on PubMed. So I could like find a lot of abstracts and a lot of free text on PubMed, but there were like at times I was not able to find like PDFs on PubMed for free. So UNC library helped me a lot with that. So I could just like order a few articles and I could get them on the next day or like a day or two. But some articles you have to pay for it, or you could not just access them. So these were like my top 3 limitations. And there's like a picture, a screenshot that I posted. So I can see the abstract here, but here I cannot like access the PDF. And this is my 11th slide, which is going to talk about what are the next steps in this internship. So first is finalizing the membership database, which means ensuring all the necessary information is entered and verified in the membership database to make it complete and accurate. And then later on, compiling a list of the missing PDFs, which I could now find, or which has like a different link, or which I cannot access, but like my mentors can. And then keep creating some Tableau visualizations, then thoroughly verify data, make sure everything is accurate and consistent, and prepare for public access, which basically means like once everything is verified, prepare the database and visuals for public access. So, and make sure it's like user friendly and everyone can use it properly. And before moving on to the next slide, I would just like talk about my experience, how I was working with CFC and like how this internship helped me. And so I think it was a little bit difficult in the beginning because like I never had a full-time job or like full-time experience working anywhere. So I was just like not ready for those 8 hours. I just tried just like working 8 hours. So in the beginning, it was a little struggle. Then I got used to it. When I was in the loop of working 8 hours a day, it started getting easier. And then I learned a lot about Excel and all those formulas. Tableau was like super effective tool. I learned about Tableau in my fall semester when I was taking a chip class. I think it was chip 309 with Shagaya. I learned a lot about Tableau then, and I think it was super helpful back then that I learned a few things about it, and now I could use it properly. And overall, it was a great experience. Next slide is just going to talk about the acknowledgements. And this basically is it. And last slide is a thank you slide.